All right. So it seems we are live, Henning.
We are live.
We are also loud and clear. We have connection to you, and we have connection to me. It looks very cozy. Where are you sitting?
This is my summer residence. As you
Ah,
can see, if I do like this, there's absolutely nothing behind here.
amazing, amazing. I hope that the people who have showed interest, we have had a lot of interest for this webinar. I'm very excited to get started. And we have had a lot of people interested in joining. It's of course always like these things with technology, LinkedIn Live. So I hope that people are able to join, watch, view, and listen. But if there is any complications, it will be recorded and you'll have the possibility to review it afterwards. So thank you so much for joining once again. I brought our good partner and colleague and friend here, Henning Madsen from InboundCPH, to join us in this presentation to talk about the B2B gamification marketing decoded. Welcome, Henning.
Thank you very much, and thank you for letting me be here, Nikolaj. And that's completely right. We are both partners and friends, and sometimes even drink some wines.
At least we're gonna to after this webinar. Well, for sure, for sure. So we have the pleasure to talk about B2B gamification marketing. And the thing is, for a long time, marketing gamification has been something that has mostly been reserved for the FMCG business. But it's actually a huge untapped potential. But most of the example is always showed in the B2C industry. So I wanted to create a dedicated B2B webinar so that you guys out there, you can have an understanding and glimpse of how this can be applied in your industry and for your customers, and not for selling products to consumers and something like that. Let me just see if I can change the slide here. Amazing. So what we're going to go through today is, of course, a few sections. But first of all, why should you care about gamification marketing? Of course, you are watching this, joining because you have an interest. But let me touch base on that. We're going to have an introduction to who is Henning, who am myself. And then we're going to look at some of the classic challenges for B2B companies and a fresh report with data coming from the Danish Export Association, just updated here in 2023. Then we're going to look a little bit about your customer journey in the B2B space and the importance of SEO and how you can use interactive content in your customer journey. And then, of course, I'm joining in with some concepts and examples for the rest of the webinar. But Henning, welcome once again. Why don't you give a short introduction to yourself?
Thank you again, Nikolaj. Yeah, my name is Henning Madsen. I'm the founder and CEO of InboundCPH. I've been working with digital marketing since I got my first website in 1994, and I started working with SEO since 1997. So more or less half of my life I have been spent in digital marketing. Today I'm here to tell you that it's very good. Gamification is a very good tool, but it's also a good part of how you should work with your dwell time, session duration time, which actually is very good for SEO purpose. So I'm here to take the aspect of SEO. So thank you for that, Nikolaj.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. My name is Nikolaj. I'm CCO here at Scratcher. I've been working with applying gamification method and interactive content method to various businesses for some time now. And it's, of course, a new and fast-paced approaching thing, but it's all a part of the digital journey and digital transformation that most company is looking into, especially in the B2B sector. Let us start with this slide. So basically, Scratcher and the webinar you joined is hosted by a company called Scratcher. We are a B2B software company that provides a gamification or interactive content platform where companies can create their own content for their CMS, for their web pages, for their apps, and for their customer flows. And all of this can contribute to a lot of different things we're going to cover throughout this webinar. This is not a sales webinar. This is more to get sort of interactive content on the map for you and help your company in terms of making the buyer journey more exciting. So first of all, why this webinar at all? That was the first thing I talked to you, Henning, about when we arranged it. It's like, we should do a webinar for B2B. And of course, you thought it was a great idea off the bat because we have already been talking and you know what we're talking about. But B2B companies are always left behind. It's a lot of focus on the B2C, but B2B, you always see these examples from crisp companies or Red Bull or Coca-Cola, and of course it's easy to be them. But what if you deal with valves, pumps, big trucks? You can't just sell them on an e-commerce store with a 7-flow mail flow, right? So you need a bit more content to educate them. And I know that, Henning, that is something you will talk a little bit about later on, right?
Correct.
So let me just cover for those of you listening and haven't heard about gamification or have a perception on what it is. So I tried to define it here. And B2B gamification is basically just interactive marketing strategy which use game-like elements. And I don't mean like Super Mario. I just mean like interactive content, like you can click here, click here, click here. It's something where you need to activate your audience and your customer rather than them just reading a blog post or looking at a video. You need to ask them questions and activate this one up here. And then you can drive them to take specific action. And what that specific action is, it depends on what your goal is as a business. We have also, as a part of this webinar, we've launched a dedicated B2B landing page. Previously, we at Scratcher, we also just think that, oh, we can do this specifically to everyone. But we actually realized that, of course, B2B have specific needs. And that's why we're hosting a dedicated webinar just for B2B companies. So I hope you are joining here today, your B2B companies. If you're not, turn it off. No, of course, you can still listen. But this is dedicated for you guys out there who don't see a lot of FMC or see mostly FMCG content. So Henning, let's touch a bit upon this generic challenges. And I know you almost been working with the internet after I was born. I was born in 1987, and yeah, you were with a wave pretty early.
Yeah.
But let's see, based on this report, if you can recognize some of these challenges with the customers that you've been working with. This is from the insight from a Danish export association, from B2B companies in the export demography. Are there any of these graphs that we've been looking at that you think is particularly interesting?
I would start saying that trade shows now again after Corona seems to be the number one important things that marketeers are looking at in 2023, and that's really nice. I know that due to Corona, that has almost been deleted, as you can say so, and also when you do these trade shows, you are also able to make some gamification. I know we are working with Novo Nordisk at the moment, and they actually are planning to do some gamification, especially on those trade shows. The other thing that I'm happy about reading is that both social media, organic and advertising on social media, and SEO seems to be top priorities for marketeers in 2023. I'm not sure whether it's a surprise, but it's just also a saying about how digital transformed has B2B companies been over the past 2 or 3 years. These numbers we have not seen 3-4 years ago.
I think it's very interesting that you dive in, for instance, to trade shows, and the fact that 66% of the recipients of this survey, they say that this is the most important thing in the marketing in 2023. And I'm sure that there is two sides of a coin, right? Because you all have experienced these B2B events. You put a lot of money into getting a fair or spot an event. You send your best key account managers out there, and maybe it was a success or maybe it wasn't. It sometimes all depends on the day, the rain, and whether the key account manager was in a good mood and how well they are actually at attracting people to come and see and test your product. Maybe you have a company that is not a robotic company and have some really cool stuff that can attract the audience to get there. But this is one place where you can easily invest a little bit in having engaging and interactive content. You can scan, spin with your phone a QR code, and you can actually attract and stand out from the crowd, whether you do valves or pumps or something that is not so easy to show off at a trade show, then you can actually also start to collect a digital footprint of those people and permissions. So it's not just on a business card that could get lost in the pocket and the washing machine. I've experienced that before from trade shows, right? You get a good business card, you put it in your back pocket, and then you wash the pants afterwards, and then you're like, oh, what was his name?
I'm happy mine is not just pure paper, because then I would have lost several thousands of Danish kroner just for getting money in my pocket.
And I also know that the marketeers whose budget came from planning the trade shows and making the graphics, they always ask, oh, so did you get any leads? Yeah, maybe I got a few contacts. Okay, can I show, can I track anything? If you don't do any kind of digital activation, no, you cannot. But adding interactive content to your fairs or event will make it very easy to actually put those and get it into your CRM system without the salespeople having to do anything, almost having to rely on the salespeople to do anything. Maybe it's your COO standing there, and we all know how they are as well. Henning, I can't speak for you, but I know that it's busy out there, and you might not get everything into the CRM system at the right time. This of course ties into generating leads and so on and so on. I just hope that you, if you're sitting out there from Germany, from UK or Holland, that you can reflect yourself in some of the issues that the Danish B2B companies have. If not, feel free just to share some other challenges, and we'd be happy to have a discussion about that. Some of the results, I came a little bit about into it, but if you're looking this and thinking, okay, this is interesting, but what can I get out from it before we start to geek out, me and Henning, then basically applying interactive content like gamification to your customer journey, it can result in more leads, higher quality of leads, and the more data acquired on leads. But also things such as the better SEO on the pages where the gamification has implemented, and this is your specialty, Henning. And increase customer journeys, and what I just mentioned before, increase cooperation between sales and marketing. But we will be able to share this slideshow so you can dive into it, and we also have a dedicated B2B landing page where you can explore some of these things further. But let's jump to the customer journeys and importance of SEO.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Nikolaj, maybe you could go two slides back. I just needed to because some of the challenges you asked, is something that was a surprise here. Definitely, it's not a surprise that B2B companies are wanting to increase awareness, generate more leads, and support sales. That's not a surprise. It's not even a surprise that they want to generate leads. The surprise is that it's even in here, because it has been like that for 20 years now. We know that B2B has a much harder and a much longer user journey. If you're talking about SAS companies, it's like 90 days. We have clients who are 2 years to decide. We also have one who's 24 hours, but there's a long user journey if you are starting in top funnel. So I think that the generation of leads and when you track those, it's easier to kind of, and I know you're coming to that later, Nikolaj, to get a hook on them, even in different places on them on the marketing, the AIDA model or the user journey. So
yeah, no, I completely agree, Henning. And of course, we have many different ways of considering a lead. So you have requirements in different companies. What is a lead, right? So everything from getting cookies and pixels could be a low quality lead, but that could provide data in the awareness and research phase. But
exactly.
If you get permissions, whether the lead score is high or low with the right intent, that can be qualified as certain lead. And again, asking the right question and the lead answering the right items for you could give them a higher lead score, enabling you to reach out to them.
Exactly.
But yes, 100%. It's we have to stay to the line here, so we can talk a lot about this.
That was it, Nikolaj. Let's step ahead to the customer journey and the importance of SEO. At Inbound, we make a lot of analysis, like, I don't know, 10 a year or something like that. This analysis is from 2022, where we took all our clients, it's approximately 130 clients, and then we divided them into B2C and e-commerce and B2B sections. Most of our clients are in the B2B section. I would say about 65% of our clients are in the B2B sections. We then took all their analytics data and put out in a big Excel sheet, and like one line for each, and then where did traffic come from, that was session duration, all those kind of metrics we were looking at. And you can download the report at our website. Just to let you know, the all over part is that Google for B2B companies is like 75% of all traffic. Google is divided into the SEO part and the Google Ads part, and SEO is approximately 50% bigger than the ads, with 45% of all traffic, and Google is about 30%. Google Ads is about 30%. So combined, these are more than 70% of all your traffic coming to your website. That's your biggest channel, and I still meet and talk with CMOs at B2B companies that doesn't really have an SEO strategy, and some of them doesn't even have a Google Ad strategy, which is very unfortunate when you see how those numbers are here.
Definitely, it sounds like that. And I think also, again, this shows the importance of having a dedicated B2B webinar, because if we look at B2C companies, especially younger companies with less brand awareness, they would probably have a different traffic journey, right? So they would probably be looking more at paid channels and putting a lot of their budget into Meta, as an example.
Exactly. This is some slides from different parts. There are some from, I think, with Google and Milward Brown and Focus Vision. The first one is that 71% of all B2B buyers, they start on the search engines, but they start searching generic. That means they doesn't search for your company name or your product name. They search for a solution.
They might know you exist, right?
Exactly. And this is also why brand awareness is very important, because as soon as you start searching for a brand, you can kind of be assured that you are part of the suppliers that they're having a dialogue with. But if you're only searching for the problems or solutions, then you don't have any brand name on that. And 71% of all B2B searchers start searching generic keywords without brand names. The other thing is that they actually perform a lot of searches, in average 12 searches before they engage with your brand. That's not even counted when they start on your website and start doing searches there. That is before they even end up on your website. So they start searching, for example, do we have they can search for prices, they can search for specifications, they can search for features, they can search for how good are your service, they can search for everything before they end up on your website. And then what surprises most is that B2B buyers on average read 13 pieces of content before deciding on a supplier, which is like, I've been talking to this so many times. We cannot prevent people from using Google to search on. So who do you want to educate your future clients? Do you want to do it, or do you want your competitors to do it? So it's not only about optimizing one piece of content or maybe 5 pieces of content. If in average they read 13 pieces of content, then you need to look at the user journey.
And I think that's an excellent, it's some excellent data you have there, Henning. And I also think some of my takes and advice based on some of your insights is also to make sure that the pieces of content that you have is actually educating and engaging, because we all know that you can get content, constipated. That basically there's so much content out there. You might be really interested in a topic, but when you see that it's a 4-page long, very tightly text-heavy product case that is written not for the marketing or research or the buyer, but maybe it's written for a technician, then it doesn't really align, and they go back to Google to sort of try to research again. Maybe they grab a few keywords from there to narrow in their search.
Exactly.
But if you're actually capable of creating, for instance, a product match, a quiz based on what they're looking for, to sort of not dumb down, but help the customer journey be more consumable, then there's a higher chance that they will find your company page and the research page with the content more trustworthy, and they might go back to that source where they thought they learned something, rather than just having, flat content. Is that a fair statement, Henning?
Yeah, I think that's an incredible fair statement, and I also think these days with ChatGPT and AI generated content, in the future it will be very easy to create content. So one thing Google said is that you don't want to create content for the sole reason to rank on Google. Why would I create content if 75% of my traffic is coming from Google? Of course I would do that, yes, but it needs to be helpful. So they actually in December launched a helpful content update, which was kind of all those spammy where you put, I wouldn't say a monkey, but like typing monkeys to write just SEO text. Those kind of vanished from Google at that time. So what is helpful and what is good content? And how does Google measure what is helpful and what is good content? And it's definitely, I also have a slide on this later. They have some measurement that they can kind of know whether this was a quality visit or a non-quality visit. So if you can get into, and I know Nielsen Consulting for some years ago made a book about landing page optimization. This was in 2002 or something like that, so many years ago. But that was just text. It was there wasn't even a picture on that. Just like how can I if you use left brain or right brain, you can even concept that.
Yeah, and I think just a short comment to that before we move on to your next slide is also that if everyone just creates more content, and if you are focused on creating content for the sole purpose of getting traffic to your page, great. Now you have the traffic on your page, but
what to do with it?
Because now there is cookie, there is you have all of these ad blockers and everything, and people, they don't fill out these standard forms unless they are 90% sure they want to talk to you. So exactly. The soft conversion and tracking before that, you can ease that in the user journey.
Exactly. And this was actually previous to the slide, two slides earlier, which is who do you want to attend your content to? Because it's if I'm up for a new shirt or I'm up for a new running shoes or whatever, it's very easy for me. I start Google and say, oh, that look nice, and then I buy it. Like that's an easy way of buying. But if you're a B2B company, it's a hell of a lot higher amount you're buying for. Sometimes you're even buying for millions. So you have a task group of that. That task group can have an influencer, which is on the right side. It can have the user. It can have the CMO, the CFO, the decision maker, which can be ambassadors. The issue is that they read different and attend to different events before they do their, and this is why 13 actually is very reliable. So they want to read a blog, or they want to see a webinar, they want to see white papers, or they want to have product reviews, and some want to have testimonials and Q&A and case studies. And if you are not giving them the content in those states, somebody else is giving them the content, and that means you let someone else educate your clients, future clients.
Yeah, and I really like this part, because I also just added in the different types of interactive content that you can add that could be intriguing to the different kind of stages or decision makers. So for instance, decision makers, if they land on your page and they find something they are researching themselves, they would want, for instance, a calculator just to get an estimate over the price. And having a calculator, rather than them having to call a key account manager or engage in a big thing, that would give them a scope of your business or the cost or inquiries, just for them to sort of assess, should we continue the conversation? You can, of course, design the results in the calculator as if you want. And the same with the personality test or product match. So if you're thinking about different solution, let's say valves, pumps, cleaning facilities, and other things like that, that's a more complicated matter. So you have different options to allocate different types of interactive content. but don't think of it as if I make one piece of interactive content, that's enough for my entire business. You need to sort of optimize the conversion optimization on different parts of your journey, whether you're communicating with them on fairs, emails, LinkedIn advertising. If you have category pages that is optimized with SEO and search engine marketing ads, so that you're driving and converting the traffic at the right timing. And of course, all of this should be fed into your CRM system and your customer journey flow digitalized, so that you can track on it and optimize on it together with the sales department.
Yeah, exactly, because when we do SEO, sometimes we have, like monthly searches, like 10 or 20. And we would never do that if it was a B2C or it was an e-commerce site. So if 10 people are finding are searching for your product and you get a visit, then it's very, very important to at least get the contact details. And if you can get that by gamification, and if you can increase it by just 1% or 2%, then if you multiply that over 12 months and do it on several keywords, that 1, 2, 3, 5, 10%, that's a lot of leads for the sales department or the marketing departments to handle.
Yeah, and we can always ask ourselves, is it better to have permission and be able to have a hook on someone who have been looking at your page than not to have it?
Exactly.
I would gamble on having the contact and the permission.
Yeah, and also Google has this, and I'm not a Google Ads specialist, but I think it's called Performance Max, which actually means that if someone has clicked on your ads and visited your website and go back again, then your competitors can start saying, okay, if they visit these pages, then show my ads next time. And it's just like, so your competitors start end up being on result on the search engine result page for your brand name. Which is that why what is happening here?
Yeah, that's a different topic to discuss, I think.
Yeah, I know.
But let's just jump into it. Where can you then use interactive content in your customer journey? And we had a few examples of that. But basically, that we have a Scratcher as a software platform. We basically make sure you don't have to code anything. You don't have to ask your IT department. It's a drag and drop tool. So if you know how to use, for instance, MailChimp, you can use the Scratcher platform. So 4 of the most popular content formats for the B2B sector is quizzes, personality tests, calculators, or forms. I don't want to dive too much into that, but I think that this was quite interesting to talk about the mobile and desktop differences for B2B to B2C.
Yeah, there's way too much data on this slide. Just roughly look at the country you are from. If you are from Finland, then look at that line. At the top, you can click on mobile device, and at the left and at the right, you click on desktop. B2B companies has most traffic on desktop. When you're on Google, you can click on organic, you can click on ads, or you don't click at all. And organic traffic is 3 to 8 times. People click 3 to 8 times more on organic traffic. So even if you spend like millions on Google Ads, you can only reach between 8 and 12% of your target group here. So I think I will not go deeper into this, Nikolaj, because I can spend an hour here. So.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But basically, I mean, we covered this slide previously as well. And what I think was an interesting takeaway for the audience is that when you make a product landing page or a landing page that you design for a specific purpose, first of all, it's important that you make sure that it can be SEO indexed and you optimize it with the different keywords and all of the rules that Henning know much more about than me. And they are experts in that. So if you want a second take or 2 eyes extra on your SEO stuff, please reach out to Henning. He's the expert in the business here. But once you have made sure that, of course, our new product launch subpage is, etc., is SEO optimized, then you can ask yourself, is it better or worse the longer time someone spends on that page? So if you just have text versus you have interactive content, where would you spend the most time on? You would, of course, spend more time if you have to click and answer a question and engage in something. So not only can you boost your SEO organic traffic, because, and what's it called, the rank trust,
Yeah, it's a quality score on ads, and then you just have the SEO algorithm, which is like 2,000 different parameters that Google are looking at. So
Yeah.
definitely don't want to go that way. But it's just to say, it's if yeah. So if you have a lot of money, buy some ads, but don't forget SEO, because they get 3 to 8 times more traffic than than your ads will do. I think most people know, at least the one attending here, is that Google owns Google Chrome, a fancy name. What a lot of people don't know is that when you use Google Chrome to search on something, you actually send some data to Google algorithm to let them decide whether it was a good or a high quality visit or a low quality visit. And what they're looking at, I can't remember, is that on the next slide, Nikolaj? I think that was exactly here. So we know for sure that the number of parameters that Google is analyzing before deciding whether you should be number 1 on Google or number 100 on Google is more than 2,000 parameters. But they can be divided into 4 equals, not 4 equals, but 4 areas, 4 pillars here. You have some technical stuff, how well are your website for mobile friendliness, how fast is it, is your core vitals in order, do you have sitemaps, all those kind of things. Then you have your content part, which is 23% of Google algorithm. Links still the main part of Google algorithm, which is 42. But the user signal seems to take more and more percentages here. For some years ago, it was 15%. Now it's 20%. And user signals is your click-through rate on Google, your bounce rate, are you coming into one website and fast out again, your session duration, how long time are you on your website, combined with your brand searches, and a lot of other things. And this is why I actually love gamification thought into B2B, because that kind of tells Google that that you're working with your user signals as well. So I hope that gives some kind of answer on how the Google is working.
Super interesting insights, Henning. And of course, as we've said a few times, this is a brief overview and introduction to how B2B companies can use interactive content gamification strategies.
Yeah, this is, I will make this slide very short. We sometimes meet people who has one SEO company and one ads company, and that can work fine. Most of the times it doesn't work fine. What this is a slide on is that if we take all the data for Google Search Console, then we take all the data from your Google Ads, and then we combine them, and then we can see what keywords are converting to sign up for newsletters or try a demo, book a meeting, all kind of things. And now we can see what is converting in Google Ads. So now we can optimize them for SEO. Because for like 15 years ago, Google, probably close to 15 years ago, they had this not provided in Google Analytics, so you can't see too much about SEO, but you can do a workaround is to look at your Google Search Console data and then combine them with your ads data, and now you have your priority. Now you know what keywords to focus on.
And of course, this starts to be relevant if you're thinking about what pages should I start with optimizing, like what keywords are interesting for you. So what landing pages is it that you want to drive traffic to? And what landing pages is it that you're competing with with your competitors in the landscape? So that's some good insights there, and maybe those are some of the areas where you could start thinking about creating some interactive content to optimize these what was it you called it, user signals? To help Google rank your page higher, right?
Yeah, and this is a customer journey map which is made alone for the keyword office headset. As you can see, Jabra is ranking #1 in US, which is very fine. There's 1,100 searches each month on that, and they sell a lot of office headsets. If it's yellow, they are in top 10. That means that for noise cancelling, for example, even though there is only 20 searches a month, you would probably say, there must be more, but that is because you search for office sets with noise cancellation, because most of us, and including the headset I'm wearing, has a noise cancelling, but it's not my office headset, it's my home headset. So now you can begin looking into how do I create some content for searches that has something to do with office headsets and noise cancelling, or the other one that has 900 searches amongst wireless office headsets. And the one that is red, you are on page 2 and below. So, for example, best office headset. That Jabra is not ranking there yes, on the 16th position, but ask yourself, how many times have you clicked on the 16th position? And nobody clicks there anymore. So now you can create your content mapping, so you know what pieces of content you need to write. And now you have the content. Now you can add gamification to that to increase the session duration time.
And if I can come with an example for noise cancellation, I think it could be really interesting if you want to create an interactive content piece in order to help send the right signals to Google, but also create a better journey for the ones visiting your page. You can create, for instance, a personality test talking about when you're engaged in it. You can say, okay, what noise cancellation would be the right office headset for you and your company? And then you can go through a series of questions. It could be, for instance, a test to listen to how is the audio file without noise cancellation and with, so they can try to experience it through the audio. Then you can click through and say, do you need the delivery of the office headsets to multiple locations or to one location? You could even enter your budget to get an estimation. And then if you have a few different products, you can say, we recommend you to go for Jabra E50 and contact an account manager to hear more about a customized order for your company.
Exactly. Do it have to be wireless so I can walk around while? And what about the mic? Because if you are in a place with lots of people, then those headsets I'm having here, they don't work very well on that because they just collect everything in the room. But as soon as I have one with mic, it means it's cancelled us for the one that is receiving my call. So all those kind of things, and create content for that, and create engagement in the content too. How was it? How was the sound with and without mic? How was the sound with or without noise cancelling? And now you can start to have the session duration time going up and up.
Exactly. And I'm going to show a few examples here in a moment on how some of our customers have been using Scratcher to create some interactive content. It's just screenshots, but I'm going to share those later. But if anyone out there is sitting and saying, my business is a bit different, or I have a not so sexy product or something like that, feel very free to reach out to us, book a demo with us, and we do individual conversation and consulting to sort of try to see if we can help you create some engaging content on your web pages or customer journeys. This is basically a slide just showing that there's many different places where you can apply gamification in your customer journeys. We talked a bit about one of the places that people want to invest the most in for 2023 would be fairs and events. So very obvious to have some QR codes or engaging content, handouts, where you can then digitalize and collect and engage the users with your company product and start to create that brand connection together with them. But of course, you have the website, you can create pop-ups, you can repurpose the content that you've already created. And if you do social media advertising or Google SEO or SEM, you can of course include the content and use it for some more engaging content here. Here's some examples from various events. It's not always we get to these B2B fairs around the world, but here's some of the pictures that we have where we can see different types of spin the wheel or people looking and engaging competitions, trying to win. You can even create scoreboards that you go to, and then you can take a quiz or a test to sort of see who knows the most about something. Some B2B companies also uses iPads or posters to engage, but there's so many different options depending on the fair that you're going for and how you want to implement it in your user journey. I mentioned a bit about it, and this, Henning, is one of my favorite examples of a B2B customer adding this. So basically, Danish, they do B2B stuff in the medical industry, and one of the tests that they're making is what pipette is best for your workflow. So you have the option to read and learn more about different types of pipettes for the medicinal industry. But depending on the assignment and a lot of other variables, there is hundreds of different pipettes that you can choose from. So if you have and are looking for this to solve an issue, then you can actually go through which pipette is the best for your workflow, and you can ask and answer multiple questions. This is just free, I just screenshotted, but I think there's 8 or so questions with multiple options. And then depending on what answers you choose, they will come out with a result page with a recommendation for the right product. And below the product, there will be a call to action that will then link to that product guide. So this also makes sure there will be internal clicks on the web page as well. This can, of course, be hosted on your web page. This is another example I don't want to go through because we don't have time, but this is Zeppelin. It's a big machine company. They are just quizzing and creating engagement with their loyal users and existing customers about rolling out a new truck here. Then Alfa Laval made this survey test quest where you basically can go through a lot of different tests to learn more about the survey that they're doing. And then in the end of the survey, you can actually say, would you like to know more, and get one of our experts to contact you. If you click yes, you get prompted with a form where you can enter your phone number or email or whatever you say. If you click no, you can just sign up or go to a landing page where you have more information. So sort of qualifying yourself. And all of the signals in these interactive content pieces can be integrated in your CRM and email systems. Calculators as one of the hot topics as well. I really like calculators, Henning, for B2B companies, because it just gives people an idea of results or assessment. And I think that everything being so digitalized, I'd love to hear your take on this, but everything being so digitalized, we're getting afraid of talking to each other. So more and more research is just being online, maybe a little bit like what you said, that people are reading so much content. Yeah. But for B2B companies, you can't get any price estimations unless you talk to someone. So this calculator format, maybe it could be a good way to sort of bridge the gap.
That's actually one of the things that we have been talking a lot with our B2B companies about. This is, why don't you write prices? Because then my competitors can read what I take for my services. Say, yeah, but your clients can't. Yeah. Your future clients can't. So and price is just something that you want to you don't want to have a call to find out what does it cost. I know those calls. I get tens a month from people from US or UK trying to sell me all kind of lead scraper tool. It's only $15,000 for a year, and it will, how much is a client worth for you? And then all this things begins. So not being afraid of writing at least starting from or normal price for or something like that. That would
or get estimations, right? Exactly. And maybe you have such a complex product suite, but allowing the user to go through a flow where they feel it's a customized approach and the result will be customized based on their input. That increases the trustworthiness to you and your brand. And then the dialogue that will follow after that, then your key account managers or the person talking to the client, they will be able to see the information that the person entered before you have that conversation, and then we'll be preparing much better for the dialogue. Yeah. So we're running a bit out of time, but to sum it a little bit up, then Stretcher as a platform, it doesn't require any technical skills. As I said, we're a software company. Usually you enter into a yearly license, not at the same cost that Henning just mentioned. We are actually cheaper. And you can choose from more than 20 different game formats. I just mentioned quizzes, personality tests, and matches, and calculators as some of the most used example quizzes or formats that B2B industry can use. But there's many different. It's a drag and drop system. It's very easy to use, and we are ISO certified. So there should be no issues for your procurement department to sort of say a green light to enter into a conversation with us. Here's some concept ideas. Again, I will share the slides, but one thing is, of course, to think about where do you want to create more engagement in your services. It could be landing pages or email flows or fairs, something like that. The next thing is then about thinking what format or what content piece do I want to create. And the third thing is, okay, when I chose a concept idea, what do I actually want to create and what's the purpose? Should it be lead gen? Should it be data enrichment? Should it be physical events? But we are always ready to have some sparring and some good ideas. I know that you're also working with B2B companies, Henning. So you're also doing this kind of services as well, using Scratcher, of course. So just about time. I think we made it with 1 minute to go. So we will have some time for question, and I think we'll just hang about because there's a little bit delay between the actual and when we are talking to each other. But is there something that you wanted to add here by the end, Henning?
Well, I think it has been, at least from my point of view, a very good and solid understanding on what scratches those 20 different platforms. Because one thing that I'm getting sick and tired of is whenever you go to a B2C company, you say, I have to spin the wheel. That's that you could just push that, and now we are starting to see that in B2B also. And I think spin the wheel, yes, it's very good because then you can quickly get an email, but there are so much more which is much more interesting to use as an education of your clients instead of, oh, I can get 5% off, or I can get nothing, or I can get like, I don't know, added something extra.
You're 100% correct. I think that spin the wheels, it needs to be used in a very tactical manner for B2B companies. It can work excellent on fairs. And I think if B2B companies, for instance, are sponsoring and trying to activate their sponsorships for sports clubs or other things like that, then a spinning wheel could be very good, branded together with the sponsorship opportunity they're using.
I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm just saying you should stop using that as the only engagement. You need to have on the tactical rights pages, and then trying to add some educational engagement content on the other landing pages.
Yes, I completely agree. And from the examples that we've seen today, don't be afraid that it can be customized. It can be fully customized with your brand, your logo, your font. So it's basically white label. The only thing you can't change is that it's embedded on your page with an iframe, but that should be fairly simple. And I haven't seen any CMS system that doesn't allow a simple iframe. But if there's no questions coming in, there is of course the delay. So let's see here if there is some questions coming in. I was just getting told, Henning, by our host that that it's slightly delayed here.
Yeah, I also saw that. Normally when we have webinars, it's between 10 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
So,
but we will assume that there are no questions right now. And then I think that if there will be questions, please reach out to us after the event. It doesn't matter whether you are seeing this in April, where we're hosting it, or you are seeing it in June, July, maybe on your holiday. Just reach out to us. We'll be happy to have a conversation about you with the customer journeys, SEO, and interactive content. Henning, thank you so much for joining and being the expert on the SEO topic for B2B businesses, especially. Thank you for being a good friend and partner with Scratcher. And thanks to everyone for joining.
Thank you very much. Have a great day out there, everybody. And thank you, Nikolaj and Scratcher team.